So sorry for the disturbance. So let us continue the remaining portion of the class. So next, coming to the degradation and excretion of the testosterone. So the testosterone is degraded in the liver and it gets converted into androsterone and dehydroepiandrosterone, and it is excreted either into the gut by the liver bile or into the urine through the kidneys. So next, coming to the mechanism of action of testosterone. So testosterone, it will, once it enters the target tissue, it gets converted into the dihydrotestosterone. This DHT or the dihydrotestosterone will combine with the receptor which are present on the cytoplasm. So this complex, the DHT cytoplasmic receptor, will enter the nucleus and increases the DNA and RNA transcription, which increases the synthesis, more and more synthesis of protein. So what are the physiological actions that are present because of testosterone is mainly because of the increased rate of protein formation. So coming to the regulation of testicular function. So the testicular function is mainly under the control of hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus secretes a hormone which is called as the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So hypothalamus will release the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So this gonadotropin releasing hormone will go and act on the anterior pituitary gland to secrete two hormones. One is the LH, that is the luteinizing hormone. The other one is the FSH, which is the follicle stimulating hormone. So the LH hormone will act on the Leydig cell to secrete the testosterone. The FSH cell, the FSH hormone will secrete will act on the Sertoli cells to release the inhibin. So whenever you have too much secretion of testosterone, the testosterone will inhibit both hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary gland by negative feedback mechanism. Even the inhibin B, which is secreted by the Sertoli cell, also will inhibit the anterior pituitary gland, thereby decreasing the secretion of LH and FSH, in turn decreasing the secretion or the release of testosterone hormone. So coming to the functions of the testosterone. So the main function is it is responsible for the characteristic feature of the masculine body, and this diagram will tell about the plasma testosterone concentration and the sperm production at different stages of the life. So as you can see in the intrauterine life, so the testosterone secretion will start around 5 to 7 weeks of intrauterine life, and it continues throughout the entire intrauterine life, and it also continues even after birth for 10 to 12 weeks. Afterwards it decreases. Okay, it almost becomes zero. That is, this period is the childhood phase where you can't see any testosterone production. So at the puberty, under the influence of the anterior pituitary gonadotropin hormones, again the testosterone secretion will start, and it will continue throughout the entire life. But this process or the secretion will tend to decrease in the old age. This blue color one is the sperm production, rate of sperm production. So the testosterone secretion you can see in the intrauterine life, and few weeks after birth it becomes nil during the childhood, and again it starts at the puberty and continues throughout the life. So coming to the functions of testosterone during the fetal development. So as I told before, the testosterone secretions will start around 5th to 7th week of embryonic life. So first is the effect of testosterone on sex differentiation. So you have male chromosome. So in the male chromosome you have a gene called as SRY gene. So SRY gene is nothing but sex determining region Y. Okay, so this SRY protein starts a cascade of reactions which stimulates the genital rich cells to differentiate into the cells that secretes testosterone, which later becomes testis. Okay, so you have initially the gonads are bipotential, that is it can become either female or male. Okay, so once you have the SRY gene or the protein, it stimulates so many reactions so that the genital rich cells differentiate into the cells that secretes the testosterone, which later becomes the testis. So the testosterone, which is secreted in the intrauterine life under the influence of chorionic gonadotropins and under the influence of anterior pituitary hormones during the puberty, is responsible for the male body characteristic, which includes the formation of penis, scrotum, and the prostate gland, seminal vesicles, and the male genital ducts. Okay, so the testosterone, which is secreted and in the intrauterine life because of the stimulation of the chorionic gonadotropin, is responsible for male body characteristics. So the experimental evidence to support this is, so whenever you give a high concentration of testosterone into a pregnant animal, okay, so that offspring will develop the male characteristic feature even though the offspring is a female. That means, so if you inject more and more quantities of testosterone, even the baby is female also, in the womb, because of the high quantity of testosterone, it will develop the male characteristic features. So next, effect of testosterone on the descent of testis. So the testis in the intrauterine life will be there in the abdominal cavity. During the last 2 to 3 months of gestation, it enters the scrotum through the inguinal canal. So this entry of the testis from the abdominal cavity into the scrotum is mainly because of testosterone. Again, you have proof for that. So whenever you have a child who has undescended testis, otherwise normal testis, if you give the testosterone, so testosterone will cause the descent of testis into the scrotum. So the next action is the effect of testosterone on development of the primary and secondary sexual characters in the adult. So first is the effect on external genitalia. It causes the pubertal growth of the penis, scrotum, and the testis. So all these organs will enlarge 8-fold before the age of 20 years. So next is the effect on accessory sex organs. So the testosterone causes the growth of the seminal vesicle, and it also causes the growth of the prostate gland, and it increases the secretion of the prostate. So effect on the distribution of body hair. The testosterone will cause the male pattern distribution of the body hair, that is the development of hair in the pubic region, axilla, and you will have the upward growth of the hair along the linea alba towards the umbilicus, and you will have the hair over the chest, over the face and all. So next is the effect of testosterone on the voice. So the testosterone causes hypertrophy of the laryngeal mucosa and the enlargement of the larynx at the puberty, which results in the cracking voice, which later becomes the typical male voice. So next is the skin changes, which is under the testosterone. Testosterone will increases the thickness of the skin, and it also increases the secretion of the sebaceous gland, which usually results in the acne in the males or the boys at the pubertal age. Effects on psyche: it increases the aggressive behavior, it increases at the puberty, it increases the sexual drive, which is called as the libido, and it causes interest in the opposite sex. Testosterone increases the bone matrix and causes the calcium retention, that is, it increases the total quantity of the bone matrix, and it also causes the calcium retention. So this is mainly because of the anabolic action of the testosterone, which increases more and more synthesis of protein. So along with the synthesis of, because of the synthesis of protein, there will be deposition of calcium salts.